Good evening, Wildcat families, parents, students. Great to have you, staff that may be watching this evening. My name's Jim Stemple. I'm the principal of Mountain View High School, and it's my honor and privilege to be the principal and have been for all 16 years that Mountain View's been open, starting our 16th year. So I'm honored and privileged tonight to host this live town hall and live answers to the questions that were submitted to our Google form prior to Tuesday at noon. So I do want to answer as many questions as we can. And we have grouped some of them because a lot of them were similar in nature. So we have grouped some of them, and I do have one of my athletic director and assistant principals with me this evening who'll answer a few questions as well to give me a break from the camera as well. But looking forward to this evening. It's the first time I've ever done this, so new experience for me. Coming from you from the front hallway out in front of our main office this evening. You may hear a little noise in the background. We're just wrapping up our first Chromebook distribution from today. So we'll have another one on Tuesday, and I'll send out some information about that tomorrow. And again, a reminder on Monday. So stay tuned for more information about our next Chromebook distribution. So a lot of our questions really revolved around how school is going to work. What's school going to look like? And how's the schedule work and that type of thing. So I thought I would start off this evening. With sort of background noise with some answers to some questions about our high school schedule. I did send out to you earlier today with a reminder of the link, the high school schedule. And it looks like this. I sent it out earlier. So I just want to start there. School starts August 31st. That's the official first day of school, and you need to think of it as the first day of school. Traditionally, maybe you would go get a new outfit or something brand new to wear to school, and you can still do that. You're just going to be wearing it at home. But that's the first day of school. If you look at the schedule that I sent out to you, that first day of school will be a Monday, but it's going to be a student day, and I'll get into that in just a minute. So if you look at the schedule I sent out from the link earlier today, you'll notice that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday there's an actual schedule and along with Monday. A student's day starts at 10 o'clock and ends at 3 o'clock. And during that time, students will be in 4 classes. From 10 to 11 will be block 1. From 11:05 to 12:05 will be block 2. We have built in a 40-minute lunch break for students to go to the kitchen and grab a lunch. And then we have a block 3 from 12:55 to 1:55 and a block 4 from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Students will be in class during those times. They will be sitting somewhere in your house, your home, and they will be logging into the computer, the Chromebooks we've provided, and they will be greeted and meet with their teacher. Their teacher will be live in front of their computer, and they will interact with the students. The students will be interacting with the teacher. Much like I'm presenting to you now, the difference is it would be in a Google Meet type of platform. Students will have the ability to interact with the teacher. That would be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The only difference is Monday, and I'll talk about Monday in just a few minutes. You'll also note in this schedule that if a student is in a 4x4 class, the students would attend every day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, from now until the end of the first semester. If the student is in an X-day class and a Y-day class, also known as our alternating day classes, year-long classes, XY classes, they will attend their X-day classes on Tuesday and Thursday, and their Y-day classes on Wednesdays and Fridays. That's their schedule, and they will attend every day. What about Mondays? Mondays are known as our asynchronous days, and I'll come back to Mondays after I explain a few more things to you. You'll notice in the schedule some questions were asked about break times. There's a 5-minute bell change, if you would. The difference between school and home is a student may just get up and stretch their legs or walk to the bathroom and walk back to their learning environment, whether they're set up at home. And there's also a lunch break built in as well. So there are those two things built in as breaks for students during the day. Teachers will be using a learning management system known as Canvas for instruction this year. This is a totally different system that was set up in the spring. So how will instruction be utilized? Through a learning management system called Canvas. Teachers are setting up in these 3 weeks, have been working in professional development to set up their Canvas environment to teach from. Students will be given directions on how to log into Canvas and how to access the stuff that teachers put in there for them, and how to access the meetings with the teachers each and every day. We will be putting together 2 orientation videos to help students and parents understand Canvas, the logging in process, and what it will look like for students meeting teachers. The one will be as part of the New Cats Day release of our New Cats Day sessions, which will be virtual on Monday afternoon. And the other will be released next week for all students to view again. Our ITRT, Mr. Shelburne, is putting together a clear video on what it is like to log in with Canvas and your Chromebooks. We also gave out some information today to logins, and if you came earlier in the day, we forgot to give that. I'll email that to you tomorrow. The thing that we were supposed to pass out all day long. So that will give you a little help as well. But those orientations will help you next Monday for New Cats Day, and next Wednesday most likely for all students to view how to log on to Canvas and the components of Canvas. What does Mondays look like? How about Mondays? Mondays are what's known as asynchronous days. Students will log into the class just like they always would, and on any other day, but on Mondays there will be assignments for students to do and complete as part of their Monday instruction. They would not have to log in during their block of time if they don't want to, but they do have to log in during the Monday time frame and complete the assignments. They are 30 to 45 minutes in length, and they could be a simple assignment like reading a passage or a part of a book, answer 2 questions, be ready for discussion about it on Monday. A simple assignment like that, something that would take 30 to 45 minutes to complete. Maybe a small quiz, it may be other things on that Monday day. A question was asked, how does attendance look during this day? What does a student's attendance look like? Teachers through Canvas will be taking attendance of students logging into them Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Students who fail to log into class and come to class will be marked absent. That will be recorded in Synergy as a day absent. You will get called from our attendance that Johnny wasn't in class first block today, like you've always had. The students will be taking attendance in every block, so students are required to attend every block. And students will also, if a student fails to attend 2 consecutive days, teachers will have been instructed to email you, the parent, and the student, and to inquire about the absence. A question was asked, what if my child has doctor's appointments? It would be no different than if the students were here in school. You would call our attendance office. Our attendance office will be open during the school day. You would call the attendance office, let them know that Jimmy will not be in school today, and he has a doctor's appointment, and it'll be marked as an excused absence. So attendance will act very, very similar during those days when students should be logging into class. What about Monday attendance? How will that look? Monday's attendance will be a task completion attendance. Students may log in earlier in the day, complete all their work, and then have the rest of the day to do what they would like with their day. That could be possible. The student completing the task and turning in the task would mean they've attended a class on Mondays. So that's attendance on Monday. It is a task completion attendance day. School does go from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. There were some questions about what if I have a job? This starting school August 31st is no different than any other year. If you've had a summer job or a job, you do have to adjust your hours to come back to school. So instead of school ending at 2:15 as it did last year, it does end at 3 p.m. for the first semester, so students will need to adjust their work schedules to come back to school, just like in previous years. There are no options for students to just work and do the classes whenever. Again, school is different, but very similar when it comes to coming to class on a regular basis. I have been asked about when will we get our class schedules. I sent out an email, but in case you missed it, class schedules will be available Monday morning at 12:01 a.m. So if you're really anxious, you can set your alarm clock for 12:01 Monday morning. I would set it for 12:02, and you will be able to view your schedule in parent view or student view, and parents, you could view it in parent view. I was very clear. You will see that there are sections with A's and B's that does tell you what group you're in. For people who want to know what group I am. Remember, groups do not apply to the first semester because we are all learning remotely with the teachers together. It only applies if we return second semester. We are balanced. We had to balance our classes A's and B's to ensure social distancing should we return to a hybrid model, and we need to ensure social distancing. I cannot balance classes based on friend groups, ride to schools, those types of things. They are balanced to meet COVID requirements. So please do not send me an email asking me to change groups. I cannot. If there is a mistake, we can fix a mistake, but not that. Schedules are completed and they will be sent out. You can ask your counselors if there's an academic mistake. For example, Spanish, you completed Spanish 1 and should be in Spanish 2, and for some reason you're in Spanish 1 again. Please call your counselor or email your counselor, and they will look into that and get those academic corrections fixed for you. I will tell you that elective changes will be very difficult this year. We have over 2,000 students this year. Our classes are very full and have to be balanced. Again, they have to be balanced should we return to the hybrid model. So it will be virtually impossible to make schedule changes. It will be difficult to make schedule changes in electives. Not saying it can't be done, just know that you may get a lot of, there are no seats available. But we are willing to take a look at it if you want to email your counselor. A question was asked about the calendar. The calendar does start with our students coming on August 31st. The first week is a 4-day week. By Virginia law, we are required to have Friday off because we've started school before Labor Day, so we do have the Friday holiday off, which is September the 4th. Because of that, we have decided to slide that schedule that I showed you earlier over one day. So Monday will be an X day, just the first week. Tuesday will be a Y day. Wednesday will be an X day, and Thursday will be a Y day. We have the Friday off, we have Monday off, we will come back to Tuesday being an X day, and so forth. Our first asynchronous Monday will not be until September the, I forget, 14th perhaps. So I have someone over here behind the camera checking, but
September 14th.
September 14th will be our first Monday where students would log in and do assignments. So know that the schedule does slightly change. As for the rest of the calendar, when the school board did elect to move the start of school back 3 weeks to allow teachers the added time to prepare for our virtual learning, that did move our end of our first semester into January, at the end of January, with our end of January, 1st of February starting second semester, and the end of the year ending in June. June 12th, Saturday, June 12th, will be our graduation for our class of 2021. So those are the calendar changes I wanted to highlight. There is no plan to move the start of school back any further to after Labor Day or any other movements planned. School will be starting August 31st. During the same time frame, I want to let you know that we are transitioning away from our traditional midterm and final exams. Some questions came through, how will midterms and final exams work? We will be transitioning away from those, instead giving cumulative exams for the grading period, each grading period. That way we're not taking time out for a large cumulative exam. So we will be transitioning away of that. So there will be no exemptions granted for attendance and so forth. There were questions about students who had IEPs. My student has an IEP. I wanted to let you know that all IEPs will be reviewed, and all IEPs have to have addendums required prior to the August 31st start date. Teachers will be made aware of all accommodations, and they will be working with case managers to ensure that all accommodations are being met in the virtual environment. If related services are in the IEP that relate or requirements of students to come into the building, we do have the ability to, they will be the availability of the building for students to come into school for the related services or their educational services as well. That will be communicated to each parent by the case manager or through the IEP addendum process. We have had a lot of questions about specific courses. All courses will be taught virtually, remotely, using our online Canvas platform. This does include our IB courses, our AP classes, and all of our elective courses to include STAT and Governor School. Students will be attending class with their IB teachers, their AP teachers, their STAT teachers, their CTE, and elective classes. The good news in our travel program is, middle of the day, you don't have to go anywhere. You will be transferred from your teachers at Mountain View to your teachers at North Stafford, for example, and CGS, and never have to ride a bus. So that's a good thing. So that's a good thing this year. There'll be no bus travel on our travel programs. You will go from one school to the other, and you don't even have to leave the comforts of your own home. So, but all courses, a lot of questions came through. Will this course be offered? How will IB courses work? They will all be taught by the teachers using Canvas through the Canvas platform. So some of the courses may not be identical as if they were in the building with some of the hands-on and things, but they will be taught by the teachers teaching those courses. Questions were asked about our CTE courses. What do CTE courses mean? Any student who is in a level 2, year 2, or level 3, year 3 CTE course will transition to in-person teaching at the school site. They will begin virtually online August 31st. They will then eventually, in the 2-week period, transition to a in-person instruction. Meaning, if I'm in a Cosmetology 2 class or a Cosmetology 3 class, we will be coming into our building and meeting with the teachers in person to get that hands-on experience. The hands-on and competency hours are required so that our students can take their licensure test or earn their industry certifications. Thus, they will be coming into the building for that instruction. Students who are in these level 2 programs and level 3 programs will be given information prior to the transition of in-person instruction from their teacher. Again, that will be prior to any in-person instruction from their teacher. The reason it's not starting right away, we do have to get all of our PPE, our personal protection equipment, in place and have everything meeting COVID standards before we can bring students into the building. Everyone should begin by around September 14th. That is the date that we're trying to get everybody started for those in-person meetings. A couple of questions that follow up that may be asked but weren't asked here. How will my student get to school for those programs? Students will have the options. We will provide transportation to our school and then to those programs. So a student may ride the bus to Mountain View High School, take their first 2 classes here, and I'll come back to that concept in a minute, and then have their cosmetology class. You do have the option, students and parents, this is something this year, if you have cosmetology in the morning and you would like to drive to school, you could drive the cosmetology, drive home during the lunch 40 minutes, and then take your 3rd and 4th block classes from home. We are going to, with the permission, signed permission from the parent, the student, and the teacher allows students to drive from school to school. For example, the students who travel here from Colonial Forge for our cosmetology program, or our kids who may travel to one of the other schools for their programs, will have the ability to drive right to that school, again, with parent permission, student agreement, teacher permission as well. So we are looking at doing that to make it easy, so students could maybe take their 2 classes at home and drive to their CTE site for their classes. That will be new to students this year because we've never been able to do that, but given the virtual environment, that's an option. So students can ride the bus to the school, and we will provide transportation from the school to our travel site, or with permission can drive directly to the travel site. More will come with that permission form, and that information will also come from the teachers prior to the start of our CTE programs. There were several questions asked about how will you do music. I had our band teacher, Mr. Welch, our orchestra teacher, Mr. McDonald, and our chorus teacher, Mrs. Keene, write me a little summary so that I could share with you what music may look like. We've had a lot of people ask that question, so I just would like to read to you the summary, and I apologize for reading to you, but I think that'll give you the best answer. Our musical ensembles will continue to develop our young musicians through a variety of instructional and performance methods that will develop their skills and enjoyment of music. Students will take a thorough look at the performance of on their instrument and voice, and begin executing individualized practice plans that they will design with guidance from their director. Students will continue to study literature, both solo and ensemble, and will prepare virtual performances. We will also increase our study of behind the music, exploring the theory, history, and culture behind each piece of work. Weekly assignments will include submission of practice recordings, listening assignments, and various discussions on theory, history, and culture. We will meet synchronously in person as prescribed by the division, and will provide guided assignments and deadlines to encourage the students to practice and perform regularly each week. The music instructors would like you to know that things will obviously be different without the large-scale public performances, but we will do our best to utilize technology to continue to share a quality ensemble experience with the students, while using this as a chance to focus more intensely on the individual musician. We are working as a team to gather the best resources and instructional practices available, and can assure that this will be a meaningful opportunity for our young musicians. While we won't be able to have the typical classroom experience this semester, students still will be able to perform, create, and experience music in many capacities. This continued music education will keep them enjoying music, help them feel connected, and leave them much better prepared when we do return to normal operations. So that's a summary from our 3 awesome musicians. We're very blessed among you to have Mr. McDonald, Mr. Welch, and Mrs. Keene, and I'm confident they will make the music classes a great experience for your students. Mr. Welch and Mr. McDonald will also be reaching out to the students who need to pick up instruments. They'll contact the students and have a pickup next Tuesday for students who need to pick up their equipment. So look for an email from Mr. Welch and Mr. McDonald if you're in those programs and need to pick up an instrument. There were a couple of questions about the Marine Corps JROTC program. And the Marine Corps JROTC program and how it will operate. Will we be offering our Marine Corps ROTC? A few different questions, but very similar questions. As I stated earlier, all classes will meet. That does include the Marine Corps JROTC program. One question that was asked was about PT. How will PT work? And you know our Marine Corps JROTC program loves them some PT, especially Sergeant Major Tanner. So I did ask them how PT would look, and Lieutenant Colonel informed me that there will be a PT component located in the syllabus that outlines the activities that have to be completed each week. The LE1s, or our first year cadets, will be provided with additional guidance as required. And he will be reaching out, and make sure you let him know if you have any questions. He wanted them to let me know that cadets should know to plan on uploading as an assignment or email a copy of this PT addressed to the Marine Corps JROTC. And they'll have 7 days to complete those assignments on their own time and as the pandemic restrictions allow, and should you be able to find a suitable location. If you're having trouble, they'll ask you to contact them. Activity and completion scores will be submitted on the honor system. We'll come back to that as well. Do not comprise, and they ask everybody, their cadets, not to compromise their integrity over something as benign as a PT score. Meaning that they'll know if we come back to the hybrid and the PT starts here in the second semester and it starts outside on the bus ramp deck, they'll know if you were being honest about your PT scores. That's what Sergeant Major Tanner told me. So stand by for PT in our Marine Corps JROTC program. Another question was asked about JROTC, rank, volunteering, and activities such as drill, marksmanship, color guard, and attainment of rank. We'll address the activities here in just a few minutes, but Lieutenant Colonel Barnes and Sergeant Major Tanner will work within the guidelines of the Marine Corps JROTC Command Headquarters and Stafford County Public Schools to roll out, provide these opportunities for cadets. As the semester rolls out, they will be discussing with the cadets the means by which they can obtain rank in the program. So that is the summary from the Marine Corps JROTC on those activities. A lot of questions were asked, no matter what the classes were, how are teachers going to engage students? How is engagement going to look? And I can tell you that during this 3 weeks, the teachers have been very busy. They are attending multiple professional development workshops and sessions on engagement, teaching online, how to reach multiple learning styles within the framework of working virtually, teaching in front of a camera. A lot of sessions on that. And students were going to have the opportunity. They will be in class with teachers. They will have the opportunity to participate in class, raise their hands through a virtual, and then teachers will call on them. They'll be able to talk and interact with their teachers and their classmates. And this will help students stay engaged in the learning, stay engaged with the teacher, and connected to school and each other. We also are planning some virtual events for the future, a virtual pep rally, things to keep our kids connected to Mountain View High School. That's important to us, and we want to keep kids engaged in the school as well. There will be certain things for certain grade levels. We do have a senior assembly. Just because we're virtually doesn't mean you're not going to be ordering your caps and gowns for next June. So we'll have senior assemblies. We will have grade level experiences as well, things that are important at the grade level. The counselors will be doing things as well. Come back to that in a minute, but counselors will be providing workshops. We'll still have our financial aid workshops. So counselors have some things planned for virtual as well. School will not stop in this virtual setting. So keep an eye out for emails. Make sure as of students you're reading your emails. I know I'll try not to inundate you, but I do want to keep our community informed, so look for emails. I'm going to take just a few minute break, get a drink of water. I would like to introduce to you Mr. Markheim. He supervises athletics and PE. At first, he's just going to talk to you about what PE looks like to get my voice and get a drink of water. So, Mr. Markheim.
Thank you, Dr. Stump. I really appreciate it. As he said, I supervise physical education and driver's ed here at Mountain View High School and also athletics. But at this time, I'm just going to address some of the questions that were asked of us of physical education, more particularly driver's education. And then I will come back later to discuss the athletics and activities here at Mountain View High School. Our PE teacher's been working very hard with other PE teachers in our county. And the way we're going to do 9th grade PE is on Tuesday through Friday, the synchronous days. They're going to really focus on the health aspect of physical education, particularly the mental health, especially at these times, and work with those kids. On the asynchronous days for PE9, they're going to have some health assignments, but they're going to be keeping journal logs, fitness logs, and completing a well-knit program for physical fitness. And this is going to be explained to them a lot more once they get with their teachers. 10th grade PE and driver's ed. So once again, on the synchronous days, driver's education will be taught in the classroom, Tuesday through Friday. No matter if you're a block or XY, it will be taught. On the asynchronous days, on Monday, they're going to be giving driver's ed assignments, such as posters and other things that are required even when we're here in the classroom. So that will stay the same. The parent-student meeting that is mandatory by state law right now is being discussed on how that is going to happen. We want to do it virtually, but we have to take attendance. So right now that is still being discussed through central office, and we will figure that out, and we will definitely get back to you when that becomes available. As far as behind the wheel, at this time, it is on hold. We are not allowed to teach behind the wheel at this moment. We are hoping that changes, and just because we are all virtual does not mean we cannot do behind the wheel. So it still is a possibility to do that. If you are looking to do behind the wheel right now, then we are recommending going to a private instruction school to get that aspect, what they need for driver's education. Strength and body. There were a few questions about how strength and body is going to be taught. It's going to be the same thing. Our teachers are going to be giving examples to the kids, especially using their body weight. And they're going to measure and provide instruction that way. And competitive team sports is going to have a little different look. Usually they're out there playing and learning that aspect. It's going to be focused more on the coaching aspect of the sport and strategies on how to win and different things you can do mentally in that sport and not just physically. So that's kind of where the focus is on physical education is going to be right now. There's still some questions. They're still working on some things. But if you have any questions with that, obviously you can email me at my email here. And I will be back in a little bit. I know it's quick, but Dr. Stumple has a lot to say. And I will come back and discuss athletics activities in about 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Markheim. I appreciate that. Quick review of PE. There are some questions about PE. So we tried to group the questions, as you can see. We did have some questions regarding seniors and college applications and testing, and so I've grouped kind of a lot of these things together, and I'll just start. Questions about seniors and college applications. The counseling department will be sending out an email to seniors about the first week of school, towards the end of the first week, the first of the second week, first part of the second week of school. I will send that exact same email to parents through our parent link so that you get the same information your seniors are getting. That information will include the senior handbook, the senior profile sheet, and videos explaining how to utilize our Naviance system. Our Naviance system is what we use for the college application process. So it's important that they review that, you understand that. It's the Naviance system we use when you need letters of recommendations. Teachers will submit those into Naviance, so that's important as well. The counselors will then, during this process, seniors should feel free to start investigating different colleges and universities using their websites. The counselors encourage you to do that. Many of those websites have virtual tours of the campus as well, so please look into that. In mid to late September, once the official transcripts have been uploaded from our county, each counselor will follow up with seniors through an individual appointment to discuss the college application process. The counselors will be setting up these meetings virtually with your student. It will be, the appointment is to discuss the college application process, graduation requirements, and post-secondary plans, and what pathways they may want to take beyond graduation. These individual meetings will take place on Mondays and during non-instructional hours, Tuesday through Friday. If you as a parent would like to participate in that meeting, you need to make sure your senior tells you when that meeting is. Again, Parents, if you want to participate, you're more than welcome to sit on those virtual meetings, but you need to make sure your senior lets you know when that meeting is. It will take us a while to get through our senior class, but the meetings will be scheduled, and you will have personal time with your counselor to discuss your college application, your college aspirations, and so forth. Some seniors had sent a message to me through this town hall meeting, will I still be able to graduate early? And I'm assuming they're meaning January now. If you have been set up from your counselor to finish in January prior to this, you will still finish in January. Your class schedule will indicate no classes second semester. So if you were set up that way, or if you met with your counselor and that was your desire, yes, you can still finish early. Keep in mind, you're finishing at the end of first semester. Our official graduation in Stafford County Public Schools is still June 12th. And just because you finish early, seniors, you do have the option of attending all senior events, hopeful of having them. But any senior events that we do have, hopefully we will be back to normal sometime next spring, you would be eligible to attend. So if you are on that track, yes, you could finish early still. There were questions about many of the testing, so I kind of broke them down. A question about SAT testing, and I put out an email. We are going to offer the SAT here at Mountain View High School. We are online to offer it each month, August, September, October, November, and December. The first one is August 29th. We will offer that test unless the College Board cancels it. Otherwise, we will offer that. We will follow all SAT and COVID guidelines from the state, county, and the CDC. Students that can expect a health screening, to have their temperature checked, have to wear a mask, and we will be socially distanced with half the students in the room, and all guidelines will be followed. So please know that. All rooms will be sanitized before the students are ever there, and will be sanitized after they leave. But we do plan to offer those SATs on starting August 29th with our first SAT. The PSAT and MSQT, which stands for the National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test, we are planning to offer that for our juniors who would elect to take that test. That is the test where juniors can earn National Merit Scholarships, so we do want to offer that for juniors who wish to participate. That test date is in October. Juniors will have to sign up if they're interested. It will be in person here at school. Again, we will follow all COVID guidelines, including health screenings and temperature checks and sanitations and rooms, socially distanced in rooms. So that will take place in October. We will be sending an email specifically to our junior class and giving them an opportunity to sign up for the PSAT and MSQT test. A question was asked about the ASVAB testing. At this time, no decision has been made about ASVAB testing. It's not a required test, but no decision has been made at this time. SOL testing. There are 3 SOL testing answers, so I'll give them all to you one at a time. We will be holding retake sessions for those students who need to retake the SOL, starting with our seniors in September. Any senior who needs to take an SOL will be invited to come into school to take the SOL. There will be other SOL retake opportunities for those students who may need them at a later date. Students will be required to take the SOLs in the classes that they are in for verified credit. They will have to come into school to take those SOL tests. So if they're in a 4x4 algebra class, for example, this winter they will have to come into school one day to take their SOL, and we will have transportation to and from school for that SOL. Your teachers will let you know which students have to take SOLs and what days they will be long in advance. Parents have asked the question, maybe asked, can I drop my kid off and pick them up? Yes, that's possible as well. So, but just know that SOL testing must be done in the school and will not be done virtually. We had several questions about textbooks and supplies. Many of our textbooks are online, and we will provide that online access from the teachers to the students. They won't have to have textbooks. We will provide them for any student who has a need in an IEP accommodation, or if you would simply like to have a textbook, you could request one. We will provide it for those courses that are online. Some of our courses do not have online textbooks, so we will have a time probably at the beginning of the second week of school, because the first week's 4 days and then the holiday, Tuesday the 8th, Wednesday the 9th, where if you are a student who needs to pick up textbooks, you could pick them up at that time. The supplies for class. At the high school level, supplies are dictated by the individual teacher. When you see the teacher, meet the teacher the first week and they give you a syllabus, they will give you any supplies you may need, such as a composition book or a notebook, those type of things. Students should be required to keep a notebook in each class, so you can plan on that. Any additional supplies as well. If there are supplies the school will be providing, such as an art teacher, maybe in the IB art world, Mr. Hughes teaches IB art. If he is providing supplies, you'll be able to pick those up on the 8th or 9th as well. So any supplies that you may need to pick up from the school, you could pick up on the 8th or 9th as well. We'll have those ready at the same time, so you're not making multiple trips up here. A question that has been asked via email and also in this town hall meeting is, and a great question, and it's academic integrity, cheating. How is the school going to prohibit or keep kids from cheating and so forth? And there's been a few questions regarding these issues, students cheating from home, academic integrity and honesty. And it's really a great question, and honestly, administrators all over the country in this virtual environment are faced with this, and even the colleges and universities are faced with this question and this task. And my answer, I'll be honest with you, is in multiple parts. I will say this: the topic of cheating is not only the responsibility of the school, but it's the parent, and it's the responsibility of the parent and student as well. Together, we should be talking to our students about academic integrity and honesty and doing your own work, and not asking or giving answers, and letting our students know it's okay to say, no, I'm not going to give you the answers, or no, don't ask, I'm not that person. So it's okay. And that includes the physical activity in PE and the Marine Corps JROTC. They'll know if you come back second semester. Sergeant Tanner will know if you're not being honest. So that includes that. I told you I'd come back to that. But some of the academic integrity will be handled very similar to if the students were in the building. A lot of our teachers use a program called turnitin.com, where if you run the paper through turnitin.com, it will come up where that source may have come from. So that's just, if you're plagiarizing, it will pop right up in turnitin.com. Teachers will be comparing answers like they always do, and they can tell when students have shared answers. So some of the things that we will do will be no different than if the students are in the building. The use of Canvas does allow for time tests and quizzes for teachers to put a start time and an end time on the test and quiz. Much like the advanced placement course test last May, when you have a time test, if you try to spend time cheating, you won't finish the test. So that's a component that does factor in there as well. The use of Canvas does allow for the ability to randomize the test, so that no two tests are identical. So you can't say, what did I get for answer 1, and text that to your buddy, because your test question 1 may not be your buddy's question 1. You combine that randomized with the time test, and you can see what I mean when I say, if you spend time trying to cheat, you won't finish the test. So that's a component that Canvas allows us as well. And teachers are going to be using open-ended prompts, where students will be responding with their own knowledge. It's more about what do you know as a student and not what you don't know. So that makes cheating much more impossible, because no two people are going to answer those open-ended prompts the same. So those types of things are mechanisms in place, and it does come down to us as adults and stressing to our students, hey, it's your integrity, and teaching kids to do the right thing. So not a great answer, maybe, but I do believe that it does take all of us to help in this matter. There were questions about my student needs more support. How will that happen? And teacher availability, questions along those lines. Teachers are going to be available for extra support before school and after school. If you look at that schedule that I gave you, that you'll see that the teachers are in the office or at work 2 hours before school. They have some PLC, some professional learning community time, some planning time. So there will be time where teachers may set up some tutoring sessions before school, study groups. And then you will see at the end of the day, there's 30 minutes of student support hours. Again, maybe some tutoring, some individual meetings or study groups will be after school. Some teachers, they're not required, may elect to have lunch with me. Not me, but lunch with the teacher. Students can go get a sandwich and come back and log in with their math teacher, and the math teacher will have lunch with them and explain problems and so forth. So some teachers may elect to have lunch groups or lunch buddies or things like that. So that's another time. You will look at the schedule. You'll notice Monday says check-in, student check-in. That'll be a day that teachers will be checking in with students. Perhaps if someone is missed, check in and make sure they're okay. Checking in with students who aren't being successful to find out if there's some barriers there, some internet connectivity, office hours. Maybe they involve the parent in the conversation or so forth. So Monday you'll notice some check-in days as well, where teachers will be checking in with students on an individual basis and that type of thing as well for support. And as always, we do recommend, sometimes it does help to get outside tutors. That doesn't change. But our teachers are going to be available. So know that. That's one of the things I've stressed since the first day, is we want to make sure that we're available throughout this process. And you know how to reach us via email and so forth. I had lots of questions about technology, and I've kind of grouped them up. And I'll start with the Chromebooks. Today we had our first issuing of Chromebooks. One of the questions is, when do we get our Chromebooks? You may already have it if you ask me that question. We will have another distribution on Tuesday. I'll send out an email tomorrow, an update to all the parents tomorrow, and I'll include our procedure for Tuesday. We had a great turnout today. I don't know what the final number was, but great turnout today. Thank you all who came out today, if you did, for your patience. We had a little heat stroke some of our computers around 2 o'clock, and we got a late start, and we had traffic backed up on Mountain View. Sorry about that, but we got through it, and I appreciate everyone's patience and understanding. So the Chromebooks question is, do we have to use the Chromebooks, or if I have my own laptop, if I have my own device, can I just use that? I'm going to give you the Stafford County answer, which is it's highly recommended that the students use the county-issued Chromebooks for instruction. The Chromebooks are brand new. We were taking them out of the box as we were passing them out today. So they are the newest Chromebooks that you can buy. And I will say this, in some cases, some classrooms, TV production, desktop multimedia, programming, for a few examples, students will be giving other computers, MacBooks or a PC laptop, because those classes require software that cannot run on the Chromebooks. Some of you may have come through today and gotten different technology than Chromebooks. Those you will have to have from school, because they will have software loaded specifically from school. And we cannot put school-owned software on private devices. So if you're in one of those courses, you will need to get a county-issued device. We did issue some students earlier today Chromebooks that should have gotten other devices. If we did that, we'll be calling you tomorrow to let you know we need to exchange your Chromebook for one of the other devices. We started maybe a little too early with the Chromebook distribution. So if you get a call from us tomorrow, that means you're in a multimedia class or a programming class and we need to swap out your Chromebook. We'll let you know tomorrow. We'll be making a few calls. Some questions were asked, do we get a second monitor? And if you purchase an adapter, you certainly can do that with the Chromebooks. There were questions about, can I use my one laptop to log in and my other one to work on? Of course you can. You can do things that makes being at school easier for you from home. So those types of things are certainly possible. There was a question about printing, and I'm sorry I didn't have an answer for everyone, but when I do have an answer, I'll make sure to answer that one via one of my updates. Printing from these Chromebooks, so please know that. A lot of questions about internet connectivity. Stafford County Public Schools is committed to helping families as much as they can with their connectivity issues. Stafford County does have hotspots. They're not all in yet, available for families who need them. I would say to you, please keep in mind that if you don't have cell phone service where you live, the hotspots won't work either. They're not much different than your cell phone. They're not magic boxes that can work from everywhere. So if you do need a hotspot, please email me. I'm going to create a list. My email address is StempleJD, STEMPLEJD at staffordschools.net. I'll compile a list, and then when we get them, I'll let you know, and you can come by and pick those up. And a question that's natural to that we heard I'll just kind of add this question in because I know it was kind of asked. And if you do not have connectivity and if a hotspot don't work, what do I do? We will have internet cafes set up here at school. And Stafford County Public Schools will provide transportation for students who need to come in for our internet cafes. We will have them set up. Students will have headphones. It's not like it's going to be a bunch of people talking. Students will be here. Our cafeteria will be open and serving lunch, so if you have to come to school from 10 to 3, you will have the same 40-minute lunch break, and our cafeteria will be open serving lunch. So you will come into school, you will be at an internet cafe, you will access your teacher in your classroom just as if students are at home. You'll have that same 5-minute break, you'll have the same 40-minute lunch break, and you'll have the same start and end time. The only difference is the to and from transportation. Again, Stafford County will provide transportation via the school bus, or certainly a parent could bring you to school as well and drop you off. Again, prior to 10 a.m. and after 3 p.m. What if you need transportation? Information will be coming out, but I would ask you if you're to let your counselor know that you will need to be in school for the connectivity issues. And if you don't know who your counselor is or how to reach them, you can find them on our website. I'm asking the counselors to collect that information for me. So please, if you need, you will need to access the internet cafe here at Mountain View during the school day, starting August 31st. Please let the counselor know. Send them a quick email, and I'm going to ask them to keep track of the students who need to come in. A question was asked, what happens if the internet goes down during instruction? And I'm adding to this question, what happens if the teacher's internet goes down during instruction? So we have some protocols that we're going to get out to the kids on exactly if that happens. But if a student's internet goes down, and we ask them to continue to try to log in, if it just doesn't work, we will ask students to, when it does come up, or if it does come up, to email the teacher, or the students should call the teacher here at school. All of our teachers will be setting up voicemails, so you can call the school at any time and leave a message for the teacher on their voicemail. And teachers will be checking their voicemails once a day, every day. So it should be no more than a 24-hour period before a teacher gets back in touch with you. But you want to let the teacher know, hey, my internet dropped during class, and the teachers will know that they need to get you the information that you missed that day. What if the teacher, we have a protocol, if the teacher were to drop out? So the answer to the protocol for that would be that we'd ask students to make sure that they wait 15 minutes. Just don't say, teacher's gone, peace out. We'll ask students to stick around for 15 minutes. And if the teacher doesn't come back, then they could hop off. And we would ask students then to check later in the day for any updates the teacher may have posted in Canvas. Sorry, my internet died. Same thing if class were to start. I show up to class. It's kind of like the old college thing. And the teacher's not there. I'm just like, hey, teacher's not here. I'm taking the class off. We would ask that students wait 15 minutes just to be sure there's no internet connectivity problems on the teacher's side as well. And that's kind of the connectivity issues that we're having, if we're having any. And I do expect to have some the first week. If you look at other surrounding counties, there are going to be some connection issues, some growth issues here. We're all going to have to be patient as we start this virtual environment. And I know it's going to be uncharted waters for us. So please keep that in mind and know that we expect some of that, and that's okay as we move throughout this new environment. We've had a lot of questions about activities, athletics, so we're going to group them together. When the school board voted to move the calendar back 3 days, and when they voted subsequently at the next meeting to go 100% remote learning, except for select groups who need it in our CTE programs, they also suspended all extracurricular and co-curricular activities during that period of time. And a lot of that is to see how things are go and so forth. So there is a possibility that it'll be revisited at some point in the school board, down the line with the school board. There were lots of questions about, well, we have sports and we'll have clubs, and I'll ask Mr. Markheim in a minute to come up and talk a little bit about athletics. I'm going to start talking a little bit about the clubs. And will clubs be held virtually was one of the questions, and similar questions about clubs and activities for students. We do anticipate that we will have some clubs that will meet virtually. Some clubs' focus will be that has been leadership competitions and skill competitions, such as our FBLA and DECA. While they may meet, some of their focus may not be as great because a lot of their club meetings, TSA, our CTE co-curricular clubs that focus on those competitions may not have a lot to focus on in their meetings, but they still will meet. We have social clubs that will function normally. Our Fellowship of Christian Athletes, our FCA, some of our clubs, our gaming clubs will be meeting, and we'll put out information on how to get involved in those clubs. So maybe you've never been involved in a club, but you've got some times on your hands. We're going to put out some information about, hey, you interested in joining the gaming club? Here's our first virtual meeting, and students can log in. So we'll be providing that information to you, things to do, opportunities for a lot of clubs in those areas. And then we have some community service clubs that may not get off to a great start until we get to a better place, but they still will meet. It's just the service component of that club might be lessened for a while. Clubs like the Interact Club, for example, focuses on so much community service. So that's kind of the answer to our clubs. I'm going to ask Mr. Markheim to come up. I'm going to take a quick water break. I'll let him come up and talk about Virginia High School League sports and activities such as marching band, activities like that. So Mr. Markheim's coming back. Thank you.
Well, welcome again. As Dr. Stumple said, we had a lot of questions regarding sports activities and all that, so I try to clump them all together. Hopefully this will answer most of y'all's questions. What needs to happen for high school sports to happen again? Well, obviously, Virginia High School League is our governing body in the state of Virginia. They give our seasons and all that. They have to be given a green light that sports can happen in the state. And right now, a proposal has been approved for sports to start in mid-December. And that is winter sports: wrestling, basketball, all the winter sports, swim in mid-December. Fall sports are right now scheduled to start in mid-February, and spring sports in mid-April. So basically in the 3 seasons, each season is going to be 2 months long. How's that going to look? We're not quite sure yet. Now, we don't know quite yet. Virginia High School League is still putting together a plan, but more than likely what will happen is it will be about a 50%, 60% of games played. For instance, we play 10 football games. More than likely, if we're fortunate enough to play, we'll play 5 or 6 games. And then we'll have a playoff. And that will be in all sports. It was determined that we want to have a state championship in these sports. So you're going to be playing for about a month, and then we're going to be playing in regional playoffs and state playoffs. Those details are still being worked out for Virginia High School League. So as of this moment right now, we don't have a schedule yet. We're hoping to get more direction from Virginia High School League at the end of this month, beginning of September, and then we're going to work very hard to put a schedule together for this condensed seasons. More than likely, not guaranteed, we will probably just play local schools, meaning our county schools and Riverbend and Massaponax, who comprise a Commonwealth district. More than likely, that will be our opponents for almost everybody for the regular season. But like I said, we are waiting for more direction from Virginia High School League and assure that we have our dates, and then we're going to be working on that. So like I said, we need 2 things to happen. The second thing is, once Virginia High School League gives us the green light, we also need to get a green light from our school board. As Dr. Stemple has said, right now, until further notice, there's no face-to-face activities going on. And that includes sports, marching band, JROTC, or any activity in Stafford County right now. But coaches and instructors can meet and have met virtually with some athletes and other people and give them direction on things they can do at home to improve at their sport or to improve in their activity. So that is allowed right now. But we are hoping soon or whatever that we might be able to get to some face-to-face things beforehand. But as of right now, by our county school board, our school board, that no sports can meet face-to-face, no activities can meet face-to-face for right now. But once again, we're hoping that the kids are going to get some sort of season and represent Mountain View High School. Things change day to day. As you know, with college sports are being canceled. Big Ten's canceled their season. ACC still going on. So things are different in different areas. We want to see the kids on the field. We want to see them play. I know our Virginia High School League is working very, very hard. There's great people in our leadership in the state as far as that. And we want to see them here. Dr. Stemple and I definitely want to see the kids playing. And we're hoping that happens a lot sooner than later. We want to thank you for your time. And once again, if you have specific sports questions, please feel free to ask. Another great resource is, I believe on Tuesday, the New Cats video and the virtual is dropping. And there's videos from all my coaches that are going to be on there and some activities. And you can get access to that. There's always the website to look up coaches' information if you need to look them up or anything. And you can always look me up or Miss Patton, my assistant. But we are here to help you. I hope that answers some of your questions. Probably not all, but as I said, we're going to learn as we go forward with this. And if there's anything I do, please email me. So I'm going to turn it over for Dr. Stemple for his ending. And thanks for your time.
Ending. Again, stuck my glasses. Not very graceful. Thank you, Mr. Markheim. The one question that was asked is about student council, SCA, class officers, and we have not landed on anything yet. We are brainstorming, and I've got a group of people looking together, administrators and our class sponsors, and we're going to come up with some stuff. We're going to kick that can down the road just a bit, but we do want to have a good answer for that student council and class officers and so forth. As I said earlier in the evening, we do want to do activities and what we can do virtually to keep our students engaged and keep our Wildcats excited about school. I guess I feel like I'm to the potpourri for 200 Alex section of the evening, where I have some odds and end questions that I want to make sure that I do get to from some people. There was a question asked about parking permits, If we return for the second semester to a hybrid, we will issue parking permits, and we will have that at a much reduced rate. Obviously, students will be using the parking permits a couple days a week. Of course, we can't charge a normal rate, so we will, but that's something we'll worry about second semester. We certainly won't worry about parking permits at this time. Along with that, student fees, you'll see there's been a lot of student fees in past years. The only student fees that we will be worrying about or collecting at this point in time are those fees associated with AP test, IB test, and DE enrollment. Those are the only 3 fees that we will be asking parents to pay so that we can order those tests and get students enrolled in the DE classes. So again, those are the only 3 fees that you have to consider this at this time. Because clubs are meeting virtually, we're not charging any dues for our co-curricular clubs at this time, and we certainly wouldn't want to collect fees that we would have to return if we refund to you as a parent if we return to the hybrid in the fall. So fees are certainly not something to be concerned about at this point in time. One of the questions is, well, how can you, what suggestions do you have as principal for my student to be successful? And there are a couple of things that I think that would help tremendously. Number one is in your home, the place that you live, set up a place for your student to go to school. And I can't tell you what that is, but it's a place that basically they go to school. Help your student, same thing as you always would with a routine. You get up, you get dressed, and you're going to school. School may be down the hallway, maybe across the room to a desk. I open up my laptop or my Chromebook and I'm at school. Help them set up somewhere where they're going to school in their classroom. Make sure they have the supplies, make sure they have the connectivity, and make sure they're ready to go, and support them in that process. Secondly, make sure they're attending school every day, because it might be easy not to when you're sitting at home, but make sure they are attending every day. Teachers will be emailing you if they missed a couple classes, so be aware of that, but make sure they're successful, they have the supplies, and they are attending school. A question was asked about desks and chairs, and I think I guided that person, but if you do need some help in a desk or a chair, please let me know. Reach out to me. You can send me an email, and I can see where I can help with that regard too, if that's something you need to help have your student have some success at home. And the other thing that I would say is help your students advocate. This may be difficult. Every student's different. If you know your student's struggling, help them learn to advocate for themselves. Help them prepare that email to send to the teacher. Keep talking to your kid. How's it going? How's it going today? If they get frustrated, let them get through that frustration, but let us help. Reach out to the teachers, reach out to the counselors, reach out to the administrators, and if you're not sure who they are yet, you're a new cat to us. That'll become clear to you next week. In our new cat orientation, the counselors will have introductions, so please make sure you're reaching out and reaching for help, and help your kid advocate for themselves. That's going to be critical in this process, because students will be coming to school every day, but they may, into the teacher, they may never turn their camera on, and they just may be a letter in their name, if you're familiar with what I'm talking about. So the teachers are not going to be able to see that body language. They won't be able to see that facial expression. So you're going to have to help as parents with that success. If a student's struggling, be sure to reach out and start early. That's important as well. Another question was asked about how will you keep the students engaged. We're going to continue to do that through our teaching and learning process. I'm going to continue to do that through messaging, and we'll continue to do that through our website and social media. So we're going to do our best. And as always, I'm open to suggestions. Far from perfect in this job and in this world, but so if you have suggestions, I'll take them. I may not be able to implement them, but I'm certainly willing to listen So that kind of ends the many questions, and I've grouped them. There were a couple questions sent to me I quite didn't understand, so if I didn't get to yours or wasn't clumped in, might be that. But that doesn't end my engagement. You can certainly send me a question. If I didn't answer a question tonight, or you thought you asked me a question and I didn't get to, it might be one that I thought I lumped in and I didn't. But please, you can still email me. I do get a lot of emails, but I do try to return them within a reasonable 24-hour window. I don't always, but I do try. And I would feel free. The end of the engagement doesn't stop tonight. The end of the answers don't stop tonight. And it's a learning process. I'm learning a lot every day in this process, and I will continue to learn with your students. So thank you for your attention this evening. It's great to be a Wildcat. Thank you very much, and have a great evening.